In this video, we will be making 4 servings of a Malaysian-style chicken curry with rice. First, we need to make our aromatic paste. For the paste, we will need 4 shallots, 6 cloves of garlic, and a similar amount of ginger to the garlic. If you don't have shallots, you can replace it with 2 onions instead. Roughly chop the shallots into chunks. Crush each garlic clove with the side of your knife. Chop the ginger into small pieces and also crush it with the side of your knife. Add all the ingredients to a blender or processor along with a little water. Blend until a smooth paste forms. Set aside until needed. For the dry seasonings, to a separate bowl add 4 tablespoons of curry powder. Any curry powder will work, but this is my favourite one. This curry powder has enough chili for me, but feel free to add extra chili powder if you want it more spicy. Optionally add half a tablespoon of chicken stock powder, or skip it and use chicken stock as a liquid instead. Add 1 teaspoon of sugar. I have this palm sugar which I just need to chop up before adding it, but regular white sugar will also be fine. Remove the curry leaves from 1 sprig and add them to the bowl. Mix the spices and seasonings and set aside. Take 300 grams of potatoes and peel them. Chop them into chunks of whatever size you prefer, just make sure they are all roughly the same size so they cook at the same rate. Add to a bowl and set aside. For the chicken, I am using 500 grams of thighs. Trim the chicken of any excess skin, fat, connective tissue, bone, or cartilage you don't want. Then cut the chicken into bite-sized pieces, again making them all roughly the same size. Set aside in a bowl. And for cooking, we will also need 400 milliliters of coconut milk. For this recipe, I would recommend a coconut milk with between 15 to 20% fat content. To cook the curry, add 200 milliliters or half the can of coconut milk to a pot or deep pan. If your coconut milk is separated, scoop off the top half, which is going to be most of the fat, leaving the water behind. Also add the aromatic paste. Cook over medium heat until most of the excess water from the coconut milk and aromatics evaporates and the paste starts to fry. Then add the chicken and dry seasonings. Stir for a minute or 2, but be careful not to burn the spices. Then add the rest of the coconut milk. Rinse out the can with extra water or chicken stock, using enough to just cover the chicken. Also add a generous pinch of salt at this stage so the chicken can be seasoned as it cooks. Bring to a boil over high heat. Once boiling, cover with a lid and simmer on low heat for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, add the potatoes. Add more water if needed so that the potatoes are mostly covered. I also added another generous pinch of salt. Simmer with the lid on until the potatoes are fully cooked, which should take somewhere around 15 to 30 minutes depending on the type of potato and what size they are cut. Stir the curry every 10 minutes to avoid the bottom burning, checking the doneness of the potatoes as you go. If you find that the liquid is reducing too much at any stage, you can just top it up with a little extra water if needed. Once the potatoes are fully cooked, turn the heat off. Adjust the seasoning to taste with salt. I'd recommend letting the curry cool for a while before we add it to containers to thicken up, otherwise it will be too runny and will seep into the rice, making it soggy. While it is cooling, let's also make some rice to serve it with. Add 1.5 cups of jasmine rice to a bowl. Rinse the rice with water and strain. Repeat washing the rice 3 to 4 times in total. Add the washed rice to a rice cooker or a small pot. Add enough water until the rice is covered by about 1 to 2 centimeters or a fingernail's length. If you were using a rice cooker, just turn it on and let it cook. If you were using a pot over the stove, then bring it to a boil over high heat. Then add the lid and cook over low heat for 10 minutes. Then turn the heat off and leave it with the lid on for another 10 minutes. You should be left with some perfectly cooked rice. Fluff the rice to remove any excess steam and set it aside to cool with the lid on. Once everything has cooled down, evenly distribute the rice between 4 containers on one side. Then add the curry to the other side. I garnished mine with a little fresh coriander for presentation purposes, but this isn't necessary. Add the lids and store in the fridge for up to around 1 week. In my experience, curries always taste better after sitting for at least 24 hours, so it is perfect for meal prep. To serve, just microwave to reheat and enjoy. Each serving contains 717 calories with 35 grams of protein, 87 grams of carbohydrates, and 26 grams of fat.